It's rounds 8 and 9 of the Maximum Networks TCT and TCR UK Championship in association with Goodyear. We're here at Oulton Park. It is so hot, I cannot believe it. But we're in the pit lane. The guys are on the grid. It's going to be a cracker. Alex Morgan is on the pole. He's back and he's a championship winner. He knows how to win races. We've got the Kent brothers who are really embroiled in a maximum attack effort on Max Hart as well. So there's a lot going on this grid and I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be awesome. Lots of stories up and down. The heat is going to be a massive problem, I think, as a driver myself. The tyres, the brakes, everything is going to get a hammer in here. I cannot wait. They're ready for the green flag lap. I hope you're ready at home. Please keep watching. This is going to be a beauty. Andy McEwen, what's happening in the comms box?
Here we go then, the Maximum Networks Goodyear Touring Car Trophy and TCR UK cars are out on the grid ahead of this, their first of two races this afternoon in the baking hot sunshine here at Oulton Park. I hope everyone who has made the trip here to Oulton Park is enjoying themselves. We've had some great on-track action already, and this should hopefully be one of the real highlights. Thank you everyone for joining us for what I think is set to be a really, really interesting race actually. Paul O'Neill down on the pit lane was just touching upon some of the key stories ahead of this 20-minute race. Pole position for Alex Morgan, returning to the championship for the first time in over a year when he was last racing the Renault Megane in the series, which was plagued with reliability issues. This Cupra, though, seems to be working well, and he has put the number 5 car on the pole position alongside Jack Constable, who got himself a front row starting position at Castle Combe a couple of rounds ago, but unfortunately that weekend rather got away from him, and Brands Hatch last time he had a couple of bits of unfortunate contact as well. So those two, both of them run out of the Power Maxed Racing stable, starting on the front row together. They'll be looking to try and block the 3 Hyundai i30Ns that are lined up behind them. Max Hart, the Irish driver, number 101, is a third in the championship, third on the grid as well, with points leader Lewis Kent, number 38, fourth on the grid. He is carrying maximum success ballast. The cars that are the fastest in the championship and do the best in the championship have to carry a bit of extra success ballast to try and rein them in, allow the others to have maybe half a chance of beating them. So Lewis Kent still fourth, despite getting on for about 100 kilos more success ballast than any other car, with his younger brother Bradley Kent then 5th on the grid. Green flag lap then is getting underway. Continue running through the grid. Bruce Winfield is 6th in the number 37 Cupra. Then it's Will Butler, number 70, another Power Maxed car, and Dan Kirby in the number 4, who is just going through shot there, a race winner at Brands Hatch last time. Darren Lewis in the only non-TCR car on the grid, the NGTC spec Mercedes A-Class, number 285, is 9th on the grid, with Alex Kite 10th, and that is the 3rd different car that he's raced with us this year. So Alex Kite will be hoping now to stick with that car, I believe, an ex-Italian competition Opel Astra, not a Vauxhall, an Opel Astra because it came from Europe. Alex should move forward from 10th on the grid. Jack Depper, front runner, race winner, championship leader in fact in the VW Racing Cup this year, makes the jump up to the TCR category in the number 33 ex-Tim Docker Golf, with Andy Wilmot in his brand new Cupra alongside him on the 6th row. Hugo Cook returns in a new Audi. He was out in an Audi at Silverstone at the start of the year. A different car, different livery, and he'll be hoping again to move forward from 13th. Should have the pace to do so, in fairness, with Danny Crevet in another Hyundai next. And then at the back of the grid, another 2 newcomers, Jamie Sturgis, number 99 in his Cupra, and Mark Smith right at the back of the grid. But Mark is a pretty experienced front-wheel drive racer actually, and he'll be looking to make progress from 18th on, from a 16th on the grid. Andy McEwen up here then in the commentary box, joined once again by Paul O'Neill. Paul, this should be good, shouldn't it?
It is when I finish with chips, mate. Yeah. So thank you, Andy, for them chips. They were very nice. Yeah, just need a bit of Tommy sauce. How much salt do you put on them chips?
Oh, you can never have too much, Paul.
Absolutely, mate. Anyway, back to the racing. Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because we were talking about weights of cars. There's them Hyundais, because of the BOP and the success ballast, they are heavy, mate. Like, I think it's 100 kilos for Brad, isn't it? Over some of the competitors with 0 ballast on. So 100 kilos, it's like, what, 15 stone? 15 stone around here in this heat breaks tyres. We've mentioned it a lot. But I cannot tell you, mate, how hard that will be on the cars and the drivers. So there's going to be a lot of front axle understeer, i.e. no front on the car, so when it turns in later on in the race, they're going to be, I think we're going to see mistakes onto the grass running wide in certain corners.
I think so. It's not an easy place to carry weight at this either, because it's so hilly and you're often accelerating out of a really low speed corner like the hairpin or Knickerbrook or Lodge corner, accelerating uphill, so you're lugging that weight up the hill, and then you've got to stop it again into what is often a downhill braking zone at the next corner, and that is really, really tough.
Yeah, what you will see, I think, is if you don't get a good enough exit out of Knickerbrook chicane and run up that hill towards Druids, I think you're going to see a lot of drivers attacking and not being able to properly get the move done at Druids, but making them defend on the exit and then making that run down to the last corner Lodge. But they're forming up on the grid, captain, and I was always told this is the proper commentator's job, so it's your go, mate. Actually, we've got a problem here. Mark Smith, I did notice when he come off the line, he's just at Druids. He's very, very slow. Windscreen wipers are on. I think he's got a problem with his steering wheel because there's a lot of electrical buttons on there. Something's not right. You can bend the pins easy. He's got his windscreen wipers on full. I think he's trying to turn them off, and he's realised, look at that safety car needs to do him down at Lodge, actually.
Shout out, by the way, to our safety car driver, Alan. It's his birthday today, a regular here at Oulton Park. And yes, he won't thank me probably for giving him a shout out, but I told him I would, so I'm a man of my word. So yes, Alan, part of the furniture here at Oulton Park and Anglesey, where he does a lot of work as well. And he is a very, very experienced bloke.
That is not he's going to go straight for the pit lane. I tell you what, that is going to have properly done people on the start.
Red lights are on though, we're about to go racing then. Alex Morgan on the pole position, Jack Constable, his teammate alongside, the lights are out, we're away and racing here at Oulton Park. Good start made by Morgan from pole position, also a good start by Max Hart there in the Hyundai, who tried to challenge Constable into turn one, couldn't quite get there. Bradley Kent and Lewis Kent go either side of Bruce Winfield, who was on his toes off the line, as they all make their way cleanly-ish through Old Hall. Alex Kite is wide in the Opal, but they're all out the other side and heading down towards Cascades for the first time then. Absolutely textbook start there. Dan Kirby dives up the inside of, I think that was Will Butler. That was a really good move from Dan, who said himself he should have qualified better than he did. Look at the gap though, Paul, already that Alex Morgan has built up.
Wow, look at that. And I tell you, you can see the other cars trying to run the steering wide. Winfield getting one put on him. He may have lost that position earlier on, but look at the weight being lugged up the hill by that Hyundai. So amazing stuff. What a start by Morgan. Like you said, that was proper stuff. Big move down at the chicane.
Oh, Bruce Winfield there looking up the inside of the points leader, Lewis Kent, who has dropped behind his brother Bradley, so that's bad news already for the 38 car. Bradley Kent up to 4th, Lewis down to 5th. That move did not work for Winfield though, and now he's lost momentum, and so he's got Dan Kirby, who clearly was up for a race today, wasn't he? He's already gained some ground off the start, and he's now trying to gain another position as they go up over Clay Hill, past the water tower into Druids. Look at the inside for Kirby. You can't really pass into Druids though, and he sensibly backed out of it.
Look at that big bounce. I think that was, who was that actually? I just seen a big
Butler,
bounce.
I think.
I think it was Butler on the apex, wasn't he? He took too much curb and grass and ended up having a right old nightmare. Depper looking for the switchback in the MPS TCR Golf, but Morgan comes past us and he is gone.
1.6 seconds up the road, nearly 1.7. Kirby up the inside of Winfield into Old Hall corner. Beautiful move by the Cupra driver on the other Cupra. Runs a bit wide on the exit. Winfield tries to come back at him. They're chopping and changing down the avenue, but Kirby should have it. That puts Kirby into 6th place now then. Dan Kirby started 8th, so 2 places gained already, and now he's got some clear road ahead of him. That was another really strong move on the brakes.
Really interesting that was, because I spoke to the Kent brothers and they said to me, watch out for Kirby, they think he's sandbagging. I laughed it off. I've got to admit, his car looks on its toes, but he's just ran absolutely wide like a proper amateur, so I'll take all that back.
Yeah, certainly committed on the brakes though, isn't he? Now, on this lap, Morgan is continuing to get away actually. He was about a 10th quicker than Jack Constable in the first sector, so the lead gap is going out. Behind him though, it's all getting closer, isn't it? Max Hart is going after the 2nd place man, and Winfield goes up the inside of Dan Kirby at Knickerbrook. That almost worked, but again he had to bail out of it, and that gives Will Butler and Darren Lewis a run on him up the hill.
Totally bizarre stuff. Look at that, he's having to defend now. Kirby had a terrible exit out of Knickerbrook's chicane, and he put him on his back foot, and he's got real issues with the front of that car. He just seems to be oversteering wide. He's not running out to the exits. He's gapped the guys now. I think he must have pushed them back into the pack, and yeah, he's got his head down.
the gap between Morgan and Constable came down by 2/10 in the middle sector. Jack Constable, I think, is going to go quicker than the race leader this time. They go across the line. Yes, he is. A 1.4 second gap now, so 2/10 quicker for the man in second place than the race leader. Through comes Will Butler, who's trying to attack Bruce Winfield and defend from Darren Lewis at the same time. And Jack Depper closing in. Very sideways. Butler's out on the grass. A brilliant save from Will Butler. You can tell he's a former rally driver. That was some proper car control.
Lads, hold on to the bits and bobs between your legs, because that was a massive moment. Fourth gear, that is 100-mile-an-hour apex. How's your look? Very good. Look at this, though. We were talking about this battle.
Yeah, Bradley Kent then looking to challenge Max Hart. These two are separated by just a single point in the championship for second in the points at the moment. Bradley Kent is ahead by a point. So at the moment, Max Hart would move ahead of him into P2 in the championship, and they're both gaining points at the moment on Lewis, and that's significant. They need to be beating Lewis. What they don't really need to do is be beating each other up and allowing Lewis to catch back up.
Yeah, and it's all a bit of game of chess here, isn't it? Max looks under pressure, doesn't he, here? And those cars pretty much ballasted and weighted up the same, so it's the same chassis, but then them Hyundais look hard work around here this weekend, they really do.
And they're not known for being brilliant on their tyres, the Hyundais, so that is only going to get harder as the race goes on. And Dan Kirby is thinking, excellent news, because there could be another few positions to be had here. Don't count out Dan Kirby for the podium. We are still not even 5 minutes into this one.
Yeah, just seen the debris flag or the slippery surface flag at Lodge. There was something down, I don't know what it was. It may have been it's probably a mirror now in this challenge, or an engine maybe, but there was something definitely down at Lodge Corner. But look at this, these guys getting involved. That's Butler, isn't it, defending? It was a Winfield, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, Butler on the attack there at the corner that he nearly had a monumental accident at a lap ago. He's all over Winfield as they go down the avenue, looks to the inside of the Cupra then, side by side, almost Winfield just got across at the very last minute. That was about as late a defensive move as you can get away with making.
Absolutely brilliant. We've been dreaming of this kind of racing. You know, Brands Hatch was fantastic around the outside, big moves, and now we've got great defensive driving and into the back. Butler just couldn't get it stopped. As you can see, Winfield actually over-braked to try and get back on rotation on the exit of the hairpin and just couldn't get it done. But side by side, Depper, do yourself a favour, mate. Don't look out your side window.
Yes, because you've got Andy Wilmot up the inside, although you did. Actually, the Golf got away from the Cupra there over the top of the hill. That Golf, decent in a straight line, and you do rate that particular chassis, don't you?
Yeah, good car that is. I've driven it quite a lot on test days, helping out the owner of the car, Tim Docker, who's rented out this weekend for Jack, which I'm so happy about. It's got great traction, that car. Wilmot cannot live with it. On the throttle in low gears, it really does get away.
So, about to come through to complete the fourth lap of the race then. 14 minutes still to go. 1.8 seconds was the gap between Morgan and Constable, but Constable on this lap is purple in both sectors 1 and 2. And look at that gap. It was 1.8. It is now 0.7 seconds. Jack Constable has decided that now is the moment to start pushing. A new fastest lap for Constable, 28.0, and he halves the gap to the race leader. Gabe on at the front of the field then. He's 2.7 seconds ahead of Hart third, Bradley Kent fourth, Lewis Kent fifth, Dan Kirby sixth, Bruce Winfield seventh, Will Butler eighth, Darren Lewis ninth, and Jack Depper in 10th place. But Jack Constable, do you think, Paul, that he has been managing those tyres for the first few laps? We'll get back to that in a moment, because Will Butler is up the inside of Winfield, doesn't actually make the move at Cascades. But is that Constable deciding, right, I've looked after the tyres whilst they had low pressures, and now they're going to look after me through the middle part of the race?
Yeah, something's gone on there, isn't it, with tyre management? I mean, Morgan is super quick, and so is Jack, to be fair, but this is going to be, you know, questions have been asked from myself about Jack Constable, great driver, but now it's time to shine, my man, and he's now looking like he can put one of the better drivers that I know of in a championship with a roof over his head. So this is game on. They've left those other three in their wake.
Yeah, Max Hart, though, in fairness, looks a bit more comfortable in third now, doesn't he? Just getting away from Bradley Kent slightly, but the gap at the front as they head through Druids is next to nothing. Jack Constable has a good run down to the final corner. Alex Morgan is already driving defensively. Constable goes to the outside, side by side for the race lead, and Jack Constable's going to try and go right round the outside at Lodge Corner. One wheel in the air, just about manages to hang on, does Alex Morgan, but Constable again attacks as they come across the start-finish line. Morgan is going to have to make this a very, very wide Cupra if he's going to hang on to the lead. So far, he manages it, but the writing's on the wall here, isn't it?
It really is, isn't it? Look at that. Jack Constable in P2 doesn't even use the exit runoff. He's got so much grip in that car. He is not at 100% yet. So for me, he did the wrong thing there. He should have really got on with it and tried to switch him back at Lodge. But this is where it's going to be very interesting, down at the hairpin on the brakes.
Yeah, Constable looked, but wasn't quite close enough. Darren Lewis, by the way, is in the pit lane. He's got a grill full of grass, so he's been off mowing Jonathan Palmer's lawn, which I'm sure Jonathan won't be thanking him for, but the Mercedes has to have that cleared because it was definitely going to start overheating. Otherwise, Will Butler there really outbraked himself at the hairpin, but the leaders are back down at the chicane, nose to tail. Now, Max Hart in the first sector on this lap is quicker now than the race leader because Morgan is defending, it's holding Constable up, and the third and fourth place Hyundais are going to start to catch if they keep this up. So Constable at the moment can sort of take his time. He's got a 3-second gap back to Max Hart, but with every time that Morgan defends from him, that gap between the top two and the rest is going to start shrinking.
Oh, look at Morgan on the exit. Oh, I tell you what, that rear of that car, he's going to have to dive to the inside. Jack, you've got to get this done, mate, because you're going to overheat. Has he got the switch back? No. Morgan's car is so loose at the rear, he's going to have to defend again. This is never, ever going to be a race win for Alex. There's no way! Has he got it done? He's down the inside? No! Just pulls out of it at the last minute.
That was close, though. That was a really late lunge up the inside for Constable, but we could see out of the window that he didn't make the move stick, so it is still Morgan leading. But on that particular lap, yeah, Max Hart was, 6/10 quicker than the race leader, so Max Hart is absolutely flying. Morgan a bit wide there, out of Cascades corner. Constable, though, you're right, needs to get on with this because not only is Hart starting to catch them, but Constable's car will be getting hotter and hotter, and he now outbrakes himself, runs too wide into the hairpin, and he almost ran into the back of Morgan there.
Morgan will be looking at his mirrors going, you keep doing that, sunshine, because I've got you covered from all angles. The straight line speed and the traction is not good in Morgan's car. Look, he just catches him. He's ran wide of that last corner. Morgan, I need to find this out for myself. I think Morgan is running a new driver weight ballast. So he is a bit weightier, I think, than some of the other competitors, maybe especially Jack Constable. He did mention it to me on an interview, but I'll 100% confirm that. But that would tell me why he's struggling out of these slow speed corners. But yeah, Jack has got this race. If he can just get this move done, he needs to get out of here. Oh, the slide in fourth gear through Druids was super special. That was amazing.
He's excited to watch this Jack Constable fella, isn't he? But hasn't yet managed to find a way past. Bruce Winfield, likewise, has kept Will Butler behind him against all odds. But how much longer will that last? This is the fight for 7th place. Winfield, Butler and Jack Depper, who's starting to enjoy this touring car racing a bit now, isn't he? Getting himself stuck in. Into Lodge they go. Winfield just driving around the inside of the circuit here to try and keep Butler at bay. And he's backing Will into the Golf.
He is, isn't he? But look at this. He's got the overlap. They're just going to come past us. Oh, my word, it's close here, isn't it? Look at that. Butler needs to get underneath him. Jack Depper could get 2 in 1 here. If he plays his cards right, that's a big moment for both of them. Depper is now in the game.
Yeah, Jack Depper then, who is the current championship leader in the VW Racing Cup, son of Martin Depper, former touring car star, and it's great to have both of the Deppers here, causing trouble, keeping us all entertained, and Jack Depper, great to have him making the step up into TCR as well, but can he capitalise now on this battle ahead of him? Winfield again defends into the hairpin. Jack Constable has the race lead though. Jack Constable has got himself ahead of Alex Morgan. He did it, I think, coming over hilltop and on the brakes into his lops. We just cut to that late, and Constable has got through, and now I think he's probably going to get away.
Yeah, and I think Morgan's now going to be vulnerable to Hart and also Kent. But like you said, I think that was done because he had such a better entry and exit at the hairpin, and then we didn't see it, but I'm sure it was better traction, maybe a lighter car, and just a better run out the hairpin, because you never usually see that on the entry to the chicane. So great stuff. Constable, get your head down, mate. This race is yours.
Yes, now the question is, will Alex Morgan stay on the podium? Because Max Hart is going to be, I reckon, less than a second behind him, or maybe just over a second as they come across the line this time. Let's see what the gaps are then. New race leader, Jack Constable, looking for his first ever victory in the championship, is 9/10 clear of Alex Morgan, who is 1.4 seconds ahead of Max Hart third. He's got a 4/10 of a second cushion then over Bradley Kent in 5th. Then it's Lewis Kent, Dan Kirby, and still just about Bruce Winfield holding on to 7th place. But again, Will Butler comes up alongside him to the outside line into Old Hall corner. Goes the number 70 car. Don't try and go around the outside. That's never going to work. He instead tries to get the better exit. That almost works, but Winfield is just not letting him through.
Depper must be rubbing his hands at this. Just stay on your line, Jack, and you will be fine. This is coming into your hands. Look at the run Depper's got. He's going to be on the outside, is he? No, he just taps the brakes. No, he is going to be on the outside, isn't he? As they run down to the hairpin. Can he switch backs? Mature driving this from Depper.
I think that's the driving of a driver that knows this isn't his car and he doesn't really want to bin it. But now look, his reward might come a corner later because Will Butler runs wide out of the hairpin. Gets decent traction still though, and Depper in fact is under pressure from Andy Wilmot in the blue Cupra right behind him. The leaders are heading towards Druids. Constable has gone already. Is Max Hart though catching Morgan in the first sector? Yes, by about 6/10. In the second sector though, he was 3/10 slower than Morgan, interestingly.
That could be just little mistakes creeping in. Look at that, Max Hart. And you can see you're animated, very animated in this comment box. He's flashing the lights. Hart wants that place, but Kent is keeping him honest, and that is not what he wants to see straight behind him.
Now, is this a good thing for Max Hart to catch Alex Morgan, though? Because as soon as he catches Alex, Alex is going to start defending. That will back Max into Bradley Kent, and it's more important for Max to beat Bradley than it is to beat Alex. Obviously, if he can pass Alex and get away, then yeah, great. But if he gets stuck behind that Cupra, that might not be good news for the 101 car.
No, but I'm thinking that if Max can shock him quick enough on the brakes into a hairpin or lodge corner in third gear, he may get the job done and he won't be able to get out of it. Sometimes you just need to attack, because if you don't attack, you're going to end up defending. And look what's happened. Bradley is on the back of Hart really, really closely now.
Another thing that's important to mention, Alex Morgan is not scoring points this weekend because he is not a full series entrant. So Alex Morgan in second place, you can sort of delete him from the result as far as the points are concerned. Obviously, he still wants a podium because you get a trophy, and you get a bottle of bubbly, and you get to celebrate on the podium. But, and of course you get to chat to Paul O'Neill, most importantly, Paul, but Alex Morgan does not score points. So actually, for the two Hyundais behind him, their private little battle for third on the road is the priority here.
Yeah, so they don't... This is a flying win, isn't it? Oh, Jack. What's happened to Jack? Is he getting pulled up? Has he got some... Oh, Wilmot's gone past Jack Depper.
Yeah, and by some way as well. That's a bit odd, isn't it? So there's Wilmot then. Wilmot is into 9th. In fact, he'd done that at the start of the lap because he crossed the line in 9th. Jack Depper 10th, and Danny Gravet and Hugo Cook have now caught him. Whilst into Old Hall Corner, I just saw out of the window, 2nd, 3rd and 4th couldn't be much closer as well. It's a job to know where to look, isn't it, in this race? But that is what we want. This is a great sign of what a fantastic championship this is, because there are battles everywhere through the field. Jack Constable may now be 3.6 seconds up the road, but everyone else has someone to race with.
Yeah, they really have. They are just looking out the comms box window, and Will Butler and Bruce Winfield are absolutely just going for it. To be fair, look at this now. This is game on. And like you say, it's not for points, but this could be a fly in the ointment, especially for Hart.
Yeah, Max Hart might have to go on the attack here just to try and get away from Bradley Kent. And actually, Lewis is only a second or so behind them too. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th places together as they drop down the hill. By the way, the other two drivers who do not score points are Jamie Sturgis and Mark Smith. That's slightly less relevant because Sturgis is 13th and Smith is 15th. But certainly Alex Morgan is a little bit higher up the order than that. I'll tell you what, though, we know grass left on the inside of Knickerbrook Corner by the end of the day. They are really taking some liberties with track limits there.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? I haven't seen cars go over that much of the grass and curve for a long time. So, yeah, well called. I haven't seen Alex Morgan was absolutely, like, pinned up in the air off one of the curves, which is not usually the case. See that then? So 101, Max Hart was doing a massive defensive job here from Bradley because he thought he was going to come back across him. But yeah, this is now or never. Look at Bradley's got a good run as they come along the strike. There's going to be a bit of defending here, I reckon.
Yeah, Bradley Kent then on the attack. Max Hart fends him off. The Kents sort of came into this weekend aiming for damage limitation at a circuit that they didn't think would suit their car. Neither of them are feeling particularly well at the moment either. A bit under the weather, so they really probably weren't expecting to be up there fighting for a podium place, and yet here they are. 3 minutes left on the clock then. Time for a couple more laps. Will Butler here going around the outside of Bruce Winfield. He's tried this outside move a few times. It's just not going to work because you're relying on the car on the inside to leave you room on the exit, which I don't think Winfield would have done.
Oh, I'm loving this. This is the best battle on track, this. Go on, son. Oh, Butler was trying to show him his nose, and Winfield was wise to that. Remember that these cars are different completely. They're both different as in gearboxes. So it's a DSG for Winfield and a sequential, I believe, for Butler. So yeah, a bit of a difference in the cars, but Winfield has been the star of this championship. He's been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, Winfield moved up from the Civic Cup, which we saw racing earlier on today here at Oulton Park, into TCR this year for a full season campaign at least, and has really been a bit of a revelation, especially with his pace at Brands Hatch. Bradley Kent up the inside of Max Hart for third place here at Druids Corner, and he's got it out of nowhere. Bradley Kent is onto the podium, and Max Hart will not be happy about that. They've really dropped back from Alex Morgan, and Bradley Kent now has to watch his mirrors because Hart is coming back at him to the outside. Bradley moves straight across in front of him on the braking zone. That was very unnecessary, and it almost squeezed Max onto the grass.
That was quite an inexperienced thing to do. That could have took him out. Max Hart would have just carried on regardless and not even been in any trouble. Bradley just a bit too eager to try and open up the entry to that lodge corner. Look how hard Max Hart is trying as he runs all across the track limits green as we see it, but absolutely brilliant stuff. I'm glad they're both on track because this is the battle we want to see.
Yeah, because this could be for the championship. If they can continue to take points out of Lewis Kent, then by the end of the season, then these two could very much be in the championship conversation as well. Now, with Bradley Kent back ahead, they've got a lap and a half to go. Are they going to catch Alex Morgan again? I would say yes. So for Max Hart, that's actually good news because exactly what happened to him a lap ago is about to happen to Bradley. Bradley's going to catch the Cupra, he's going to start getting held up, and Max will be right back with him in a flash. So this battle ain't over yet.
No, it's not, is it? And I can see there that Bradley Kent has quite a big gap actually to Hart, and I think if he can get this done on Alex, who's only got a minute to go, something's got to happen between these four. It's got it written all over it.
Yes, because there is, I think it's fair to say, a little bit of needle between the Kents and Max Hart. They've had a couple of on-track incidents, most recently at Brands Hatch last time out, Lewis in particular with Max, and they're all fired up. Lewis is the reigning champion. Max was runner-up last year, but hadn't won a round of the championship until the start of this season. And Bradley, in his debut in touring car racing, he's come up through some of the junior tin top ranks, things like Fiesta Juniors, for example, but he has been the real revelation of the season, and he's now on the tail of Alex Morgan for second. We're on to the final lap of the race. The race leader, remember, is still Jack Constable, 8 seconds up the road, but second, third, fourth and fifth are absolutely together now as they go on to their final circuit of the Oulton Park Island circuit. Further back, Hugo Cook here, still stuck behind Danny Crevet, but ahead of Jamie Sturges. That's the fight, essentially not to be last of the competitive runners anyway, because Mark Smith's had a few issues. Leaders, though, on their final lap.
And as we switch back, and I was saying, wasn't I, it's definitely not over yet. And, you know, Bradley doesn't need to do this, but he kind of does because he needs to really, look who he's got behind him flashing, Max Hart, so he really needs to get this done to save him. He's only got half a lap left, but look at that. Alex Morgan takes a lot of curb on entry. Honestly, this is not over yet. This really isn't over yet. Oh, no.
Oh, Will Butler is off at the hairpin. He's not hit anything by the looks of it, but the rally driver returning to his natural habitat there, the grass going up into the slowest corner on the track, so he is going to fall to the back of the field. Right, 2 corners to go though. Bradley Kent is less than a car's length behind Alex Morgan. This would be a brilliant drive from Alex, in fairness, if he can hang on to second place. For Jack Constable, though, it's a very, very special moment because it's going to be his first ever victory in the Maximum Networks Goodyear Touring Car Trophy, and more importantly, TCR UK. He is the TCR winner, comes across the start-finish line now. Who will join him on the podium and in what order? Across the line they come in side by side, almost for second, but Alex Morgan just hangs on. Bradley Kent third, Max Hart fourth, Lewis Kent in fifth. The 4 of them were covered at the flag by 1.4 seconds. That was brilliant. Typical Oulton Park racing, that really, really close, really congested out on circuit. A couple of mistakes still being made here at the end. Andy Wilmot might be picked off by Jack Depper as they run to the line because Wilmot outbraked himself at Lodge. He just manages to pick up some momentum and fend off the number 33 car as they cross the line. And just like that, Paul, 20 minutes of racing is all over and done with. As I said, a typical Oulton Park race that. It's not necessarily the kind of place where you see overtaking at every corner, but really close battling and great psychological battles between the drivers because it's a balance, isn't it, between attacking but not over-attacking, defending and not over-defending. And we really saw that there in that battle for the podium places.
Yeah, like you said, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It was a typical Oulton Park battle, but I think it's safe to say that this series has actually arrived. The racing, it was everything that Stuart Lines, the promoter, Nicky Lines, his wife, they said that's what they wanted, and this is really, really getting to that stage now where there's close, you know, great racing, good engineering, great teams. Jack Constable, mate, there's no more questions, fella, you're a race winner, well done.
Yeah, Jack has been around for a while, actually, hasn't he, really? Came through karting, where he had quite a lot of success, then went into Ginetta racing, didn't he, I think, in the GT4 Super Cup on the Toka package, and he was pretty strong there, within his class at least, but this sort of shift to touring car racing was seen as a bit of an odd choice for him, but you never know. He's managed to have this alliance now with PowerMax Racing. He's their development driver in the BTCC as well. Jack is now a race winner in the Goodyear Touring Car Trophy and TCR UK. Paul then is heading down to have a chat with our race winner. Let's run through the results. Jack Constable, the winner by 9.2 seconds nearly at the end of the race from Alex Morgan second. Bradley Kent was third, Max Hart fourth, and Lewis Kent fifth. And that really was the battle, wasn't it? Second, third, fourth, and fifth. Those 4 drivers covered by 1.4 seconds at the end of the race. Then it was Dan Kirby, Bruce Winfield, Andy Wilmot, Jack Depper, and Danny Crevet rounding out the top 10. Hugo Cook was 11th, Jamie Sturgis 12th, Alex Kite 13th, and Will Butler, unfortunately, will be classified as a non-finisher, I suspect, because he wasn't running at the flag after that last lap off at the hairpin. Try and have a word with him between the races to see what happened there. Mark Smith, therefore, inherits 14th place with Butler and Darren Lewis, the 2 retirements. Lewis did get back out on track for a lap after he came in to clear the grille, but I suspect maybe the car had overheated already, and he came straight back in again on the very next lap to retire the Mercedes. So we had, in the end, 14 finishers, all of them TCR cars. And for those of you in the UK who have been following TCR UK for a number of years now, you'll know that that's quite significant, because I don't think we've ever had 14 TCR cars finish a round of this championship. It's not often that we've had 14 cars entered, but as Paul was touching upon just now, it is a testament to the hard work done by Stuart, Nicky Lyons and everyone at Maximum Networks to promote the championship, to run the championship, and to really build the championship into the spectacle, and the sporting spectacle in particular, that we always knew it could be. And there's still a bit of growing to be done, but it's certainly on the right track, and we hope that everyone here at Oulton Park today enjoyed that. Don't forget, they've got another race to come later on. We've got 2 more races today, one for the Civic Cup and another one at 4 o'clock for the Touring Car Trophy cars that we just saw racing. And that is, I'm sure, going to be another fascinating race. Championship-wise, then, who does that benefit? Well, it benefits Bradley Kent, doesn't it? Because Bradley Kent finished 3rd on the road, but that will become 2nd place once they sort of delete Alex Morgan from the result, because Alex is not a championship runner, so we sort of pretend he's not there when it comes to points-paying purposes. So essentially 2nd place it will be for Bradley Kent, and he is going to close in slightly on his brother. It is a very, very happy Jack Constable, though, who's down in the pit lane with Paul O'Neill.
Jack Constable, TCR UK race winner. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much. Oh, feels like a long time coming, but so good. Mate, so good.
Absolutely immense. I mean, I said in comms, there's questions asked of people like yourself who have driven for a bit, but you're not too, well up on front-wheel drive. But you've arrived now, mate, and what you did with Alex was absolutely amazing, and then you were up the road. Good move into Knickerbrook. Yeah,
I mean, the car, we've had a power steering problem halfway through the race as well, so I am a little bit hot because we've been wrestling it, but yeah, no, definitely a nice clean move, fair racing, awesome bit of racing.
What was the issue at the start? Because you were behind by a second, and then all of a sudden you just switched on, or were you just managing it? What was the score?
I was having a little bit with Max, just making sure he wasn't going to do anything silly, stupid lunge or something like that. So I was just covering my arse, basically.
Sorry for that.
Sorry. But yeah, other than that, it was fairly straightforward from there. But yeah, the power steering thing happened as soon as I kind of got to Alex, so it was a hard-fought fight from there.
Electric power steering on these cars.
Yeah.
You're having to turn the motor as well as the steering wheel.
Yeah.
That's steering the wheels. Was it intermittent?
It was intermittent. Otherwise, I don't think I would have. I think I'd be passed out. But yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, heavy, but yeah, all right.
But over the moon, what are you gonna look at now? What can you change with the car? Because Alex Morgan, your teammate, is going to be all over your data and all over you. What are you going to not tell him?
Nothing. I'm an open book, mate. I don't hide things. There's no need. The car's good. I think that it's as simple as that. I don't think we really need to change a lot. Hopefully, it'll just last the second race. But yeah, I'm really happy with what the team have put together for me this weekend, and it's been an amazing bit of kit so far. I can't complain.
Can I just ask one last question? I've seen Kevin Berry, who's one of the top race engineers, kicking about in your garage.
Yeah.
He's my old race engineer from British Touring Cars.
Yeah.
One of the best engineers out there. has he brought something different to the team? Because I think he's here to help Alex maybe, but whatever he's done, he's helped you out.
No, well, I haven't had a lot of involvement with Kev, in all honesty. It's me and the PMR boys, and we've all got our own engineers, and Kev is Alex's. So I've not really had a lot of involvement, in all honesty. He is very, very good. No hands about that, but yeah, spot on.
Well, listen, you go and enjoy your time. All the team are waiting. Race winner, top man.
Thank you very much.
No worries, have a good one. Andy McEwen, back to you, captain.
So very, very happy Jack Constable then. We'll be looking to try and do the double now later on today. No one has managed to win 2 races on the bounce in this year's championship so far. We've had drivers that have won more than 1 race, but never 2 races in a row. So can Jack do it? Well, we'll find out later on this afternoon. 4 o'clock here at Oulton Park is the start time for our second Goodyear Touring Car Trophy and TCR UK race of the day.